Professor Kanjaki. Still mute.
Oh, still good morning. Yeah. Thank you very much for your invitation to the very charming program. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Sensei. Now in Japan is 12 o'clock.
Yeah, now the 11 o'clock and it's already very hot now.
Oh, really?
And we enter to the summer season now.
Yeah.
So now
now you are in Kyoto, right?
Yes, Kyoto. Yes.
Okay, Kanzaki Sensei, maybe we can start this course.
So I will share.
No, I mean I will start for the opening first.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. One more greeting from us in Faculty of Forestry, University of Mulawarman in Samarinda, East Kalimantan, Borneo. So it is my pleasure to be your moderator for this morning course. And this is the part of the series of the summer course, the first summer course that held by our faculty in this year. And hopefully next year and the next year, we still continue with this summer course and invited many speakers from national and international university. So today we have a very interesting topic, and will be brought by our distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. Kanzaki Mamoru from Kyoto University, and he will deliver the presentation about Japanese forests and also forest management in Japan. So the topic probably different from us. I mean, we in Kalimantan have a tropical forest, but in Japan, the forest situation and type, of course, different. Temperate, maybe there are still tropical forests in Okinawa region, Sensei. Yeah. But most part of Japanese is the temperate forest, and quite different from us in Indonesia, especially in East Kalimantan, Borneo. So we will have a very interesting topic, and we will get more information from him for the next 45 minutes. He will present his information about the Japanese forest and forest management. But before we start with the presentation, I will read a little bit information about Professor Kanzaki or Kanjaki Sensei bibliography. This is the achievement of more than 40 years, Kanjaki Sensei as academics in Osaka and as well in Kyoto University. So Kanjaki Sensei current position is Professor Emeritus of Kyoto University, but he also serves as a president of Japan Society of Tropical Ecology. And he received his bachelor degree long time ago in 1979, Sensei. And then in 1982, he finished his master degree from Chiba University. And in 1985, completed his doctoral degree in Osaka City University. And his career started in 1985 in Osaka City University. But then in 1999, he joined with Kyoto University up to now, 2020, March 2020, as a professor in Forest Resources and Society, Graduate School of Agriculture, Kyoto University. There are a lot of publications that Kanjaki Sensei has already published by himself or co-authored with other scientists or maybe his student also. But I would like to highlight that some of his publication of the research is conducted in tropical forests, not only in Indonesia, but also in Myanmar, in Cambodia, in Malaysia, Thailand, and recently most publication in South Asia, in Bangladesh and maybe India, Sensei. And in Indonesia, there's one publication from him discussing about the neighboring tree effect on the survival and growth of Sorea johorensis under a line planting system in Bornean Dipterocarp forest, published in 2015, following with another Indonesian author also. So Sensei has a lot of experience, not only Japanese forest, but also in tropical forest. So we have many adventures from his lecturer, hopefully, that we can get many information and data as well that we going to see from his presentation. So please prepare your pen and paper to take some notes, and we will discuss in the Q&A session after Sensei presentation about 45 minutes. So without further ado, Kanjaki Sensei, please, you have 45 minutes to present your presentation. Okay.
Thank you very much for introduction. And actually, I study about the tropical forest for more than 35 years. But today, I would like to talk about Japanese forest. This is a temperate forest mostly, but actually the history of our challenge and failure in our forest management will be a very interesting case and one of the lessons in another country beside of the Indonesia or other tropical countries. So I decided to present this topic, not my tropical forest study. And I will share the slide. I prepared many slides, but today I will skip some of the slides because due to the shortage of the time. But you can download this lecture material from website. And Ari-san, you already distribute the material, PowerPoint, PDF?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, yeah. Later I will show you. So okay. If you want to study more, maybe you can download the file and check my slides. Yeah, and some of the reference papers also I will inform later. Okay, yeah, so I want to start my lecture, my talk. So today I prepared the three parts in my lecture: the current condition of Japanese forest, and the second, brief history of Japanese forest and forest management, and three, the current issues in Japan. And normally the forest issues which related to the overuse of the forest, right, and the timbers, but the problem in Japan is now underuse of forest and abandonment of the management by the forest owners. So quite a different situation comparing to the tropical countries. But actually the similar phenomena occur in Thailand also now because of the aged society and the forest resources now Thailand imported from outside their country. So every country has a risk of the similar problems in future. So it will be helpful for you to young generation, young student. Okay, so the first, current condition of the Japanese forest. Probably many of you know that we have a lot of forest and quite rich forest we have. So this is a percentage of our land covered by forest, agricultural land, and housing area or others. And forest covers 66% of our nation land. So this value is one of the highest value in the world. As our country is stretched from north to south, so as Ari-san already told you that we have tropical mangrove forest also. But we also have boreal forest in Hokkaido. And so we have many types of forest in mainland Honshu Island. For example, warm temperate, we call warm temperate forest. This is an evergreen oak forest with many conifers. Conifers are needle-leaved species, Gymnospermum. But mostly the oak is main species in our temperate, warm temperate zone. And we separate warm temperate and cool temperate. And in the cooler region in our land, the beech forest, Fagus crenata and Fagus japonica forest is very common. So in the autumn season, the forest changes to the reddish or yellow color. So it is a very exciting experience for tourists. And also we have many kind of conifers. This is a sugi forest, cedar forest, and many of the hardwood species mixed with conifers. And this is a cool temperate cedar forest. This is also sugi forest in Yakushima Island. This is one of the World Heritage Sites. And in Hokkaido, we can see the subarctic, or sometimes we call boreal forest. Here, the spruce and fir is a dominant species, and you can see the conifers like this. And alpine forest, alpine zone, in alpine zone, we have some dwarf pine forest. This is a tree species, woody species, but tree cannot grow up, just 2 meters, 3 meter height. So we call the dwarf, the small pine forest. And the last 2 slides indicate the plantation. So Japan have a lot of plantation forest. So mostly the cedar, sugi, and hinoki, cypress. So this is a percentage of the plantation in our forest. So left bar indicates the percentage of plantation and natural forest. Natural forest means some forest is primary forest, but most of these natural forest is secondary forest. So formerly we use these natural forests for fuel wood forest or charcoal forest to produce fuels and other materials. And the plantation is the people planted one by one. So what kind of species we planted? The most abundant species is Cryptomeria japonica. The Japanese name is sugi, or English name is cedar, sugi cedar. And second abundant species is hinoki, Cames paris obtusa. And third and other species. So these 2 main species occupied more than nearly the 70% of plantation is sugi or hinoki, consists of those 2 species. So this is the situation of Japanese forest. So the very abundant plantation we have. And who is the owner of the forest? This pie chart indicates the owner percentage. And the private sector, they have 57% of our forest was owned by the private sector. So mostly the small holders. So many farmers also have a forest behind their cropland. And also the big company also owns private these forests. And second biggest owner is a nation, Japanese government. So the forest agency managed these national forests. it's occupied, it's account for the 30% of our forest. The remaining is remaining forest is owned by the local government or, for example, university or other sectors, but public sectors. So this is a owner distribution in our forests. So private forest dominance is one of the characteristics of Japanese forest. And how many owners? Oh, so many owners, more than the nearly the 700,000 owners in Japan. So this is the private sector's owners. And but actually the owner is decreasing now. Sometimes the owner disappeared, so we cannot identify the owner now. It is a serious problem. Later, I will explain more detail. So anyways, so many small, and this blue domain indicate the owner who have the only 1 to 10 hectare forest, quite small forest they have. So this is the most abundant owners. Okay, so small holders is another characteristics of Japan. And most of the private forests is consist of the plantation of these two species, as I already explained, the Cryptomeria and Chames paris. So the leaf is a bit different, but different from pinus species. And the timber and wood is also very useful for us. And the sugi is rather reddish due to the much more resin content. And the hinoki is more white. Okay, so but anyway, these two species are quite important for our life and culture. Okay, so the dense forest cover and the private plantation dominance and high stock of the forest is characteristics of our Japanese forest. But just 70 years ago, 1950s, the Japanese forest was so degraded. So this is a more older photograph taken in 1899, more than 120 years ago. Okay, you can see the denuded mountains. This is in the western part of Japan. And now people try to reforest the mountain. You can see the some line here. So they are trying to make a terrace. And then they try to plant pine trees. So, and this is a very serious erosion occurs there. So deforestation is very difficult. And this is also another place, Shiga Prefecture, just beside of the Kyoto city. We have this kind of mountain. This photo also took around 100 years ago. And after the very intensive reforestation work, the forest fortunately now recover like this, but it cost 100 years. So this is another aspect of Japanese forest. So 70 years ago or 100 years ago, many of Japanese forests was degraded like this. And this is changes in forest cover of Japan. So this calendar year started from zero, Western calendar, until the year 2000. So during these 2000 years, our forest cover changed like this. This green part indicates the forest. And the forest area rapidly decreased after the 15th century. And then the bottom means the smallest, the forest shrink to the 50%, nearly 50% in our history that occurred in the mid-18th century. So this mid-18th century, we call this age as the Edo period. Edo period. So Tokugawa government, shogun, governed the Japanese country. So this is the brief history of Japanese forest. Okay. So why the forest was degraded so much? So just I explain about the brief history. Okay, so anyway, our culture or our life totally depend on the timbers, wood in our history. I think this is same as in every country in the world. So this is one of the oldest wooden building in the world. This building established in 607, so beginning of 7th. Repaired many times the temple, but the original wood also still utilized in the building. So nearly the 100 to 500 years, we continuously maintain the building. And another building, another photograph is the biggest wooden building in the world. So this temple was established in the 1691, but originally the temple established in 758, also 8th century, but several times the temple was burned by fire and reconstructed, and the final reconstruction occurred in 1691 by Tokugawa government. Okay, so this is the biggest temple, biggest wooden building in the world. Inside, we keep the very big Buddha image like this. So anyway, those construction, we made temples, shrine, and for example, the emperor's palace. Such a big building, we need quite big tree, and especially the hinoki trees is required. So we cut many trees from the very ancient time, more than nearly 2,000 years. We continuously cut trees for construction. And the final phase, this is an Osaka castle. This castle established in the 1580s, and for example, this very big castle was, especially the very big castle consumes a lot of timbers. And end of the 16th century and the beginning of the 17th century, the governor, the Tokugawa, Toyotomi, and Tokugawa, these two families established many castles. And even the remote island in Japan, we cut very big trees. So this is diameter is over the 2 meter, nearly 3 meter diameter trees in Yakushima Island. And Yakushima Island, where is Yakushima Island? Here, Yakushima Island here. So you can see the Osaka castle established here, and Kyoto is here. And so the timber cut in this island was transported to there and utilized for the construction of castles and temples also. So until the 1700 year, Japanese people cut all of the available timber, especially the hinoki timber, from all over Japan, and the big sugi also cut all over the island. So we faced to the serious timber shortage problem in the beginning of 18th century, beginning of 18th century. So this is one of the causes why the Japanese forest degraded so much. The timber for the construction is we continuously need these timbers. And as you know, the wooden housing are easy to be burned. So we have many big fires in the big city, Edo means Tokyo, and Kyoto, and many big Osaka. We have many times big fire. So after fire, the people must reconstruct the housing. So periodically they need the much demand of the timber occurs there. So originally we cut the natural forest from the natural forest and cut such a valuable trees. But not only the timber for construction, we need many other wood materials. One is charcoal and fuel wood. So until the 1950s, we continuously cut these oak forests for the charcoal production or fuel wood production. So I explained that we have conifer plantations, but other purpose, we manage the forest, hardwood forest, such as broad-leaved species. We manage these forests for fuel wood and charcoal production. So this is a secondary forest. And this is some guidebook to make charcoal in Edo period and the beginning of the Meiji period. So every farmers in the winter season, they try to produce charcoal and send it to the city, urban area and get cash income. So the farmers produce the energy source for Japanese country. So this continues from the very ancient time. Okay. And another usage of our forests is agricultural use of the forest. So many of the fertilizer for our rice field or other cropland come from forest. So we cut small branches, small shrubs and branches and weed we cut from the forest and burn it and make it as ashes, and then the use for the fertilizer. Still, we can buy such a fertilizer in some shop in our town. And also the cattle is very important to cultivate our cropland. Yama or other ploughing machine. But before that, every farmer have cattle, especially cow. And the cow need, of course, we must feed to the cows. And also the many purpose, we use such a grass species and small branchlet for the cattle. So those materials also come from the forest around the cropland. Okay. And also the fuel wood is also used for the salt making. In Japan, many places we produce the salt from the seawater. So final process of the sea making is we need fuel wood. Right? So along this area, many of the forests cut. And also pottery, the ceramics and the ceramics making, we need fuel wood. And especially the pine wood is very important source of the fuel wood. And these are the very famous and very big scale pottery occurs there. So near these pottery, the forest was cut and very seriously utilized. And also finally, the tatara steel making. Tatara is a Japanese word indicates a very old style production of the forest. Old style of the steel making, iron making. Until the 19th century, we use charcoal to produce steel. And okay, so the lot of the charcoal is required for steel making. And also, the population increase in our land also make a big demand of the timber and wood materials. So this calendar, this diagram started from the 800 to the year 2000, and also some estimation until the 2050. So until the 2020, our population continuously increased. And the very special phase we have in the latter half of the Edo period, the population is almost saturated. This is very rare case in the world, and many of the population scientists focuses on this phenomenon. Why the population not increase is still not clear, but the little ice age also occurred during this period. And at the 1868, once we close the country from beginning of the Edo period, we close the country from 16 to 3. And then we close country, and import and export is almost stopped. But after the Meiji renovation in 1868, we opened the country, and industrialization started following the European countries' engine technology. And our population rapidly increased after that until the year 2000. But after that, after 2004, our population is gradually decreasing now. Okay. Okay, anyway, the increased population also increased the demand of timbers. But anyway, the Edo period, so Edo period, around here, we have a serious timber shortage and wood material shortage around here. At that time, the people try to plant trees in our land. So plantation area increased after the mid-18th century, like this. This pink domain indicates the plantation forest. So you can see the plantation increased, and from the mid-Edo period. So this is a very important turning point in our forest management. And we have many of the famous forestry area in our country, and these green tree mark indicate the famous forestry area in Japan. And the Kyoto located around here, we have a Kitayama forestry area and Yoshino forestry area. Those have a very old history, especially Kitayama forestry started from the 15th century, they said. But anyway, many of our land was, the people tried to cover it by plantation trees, especially sugi and hinoki. Okay, so this is this kind of our activity started from the 18th century. But at that time, our land is governed by the many clans. Clans means we call the daimyo, the local governor, and the shogunate is a central government. So this orange color indicates the directly controlled by shogunate Tokugawa family. And this green and blue parts indicate the area governed by the clans, local governors. And this orange area, the people, rather autonomous governance is available, and the merchant
Recording
and
stopped.
Farmers' power is very strong in this orange area. And besides of this area, the clans governed area was more strongly controlled by the samurai people and daimyo. And the forestry in this area, there are many diverse systems in our forestry because the governor is different, the place by place. So some place, every place have a different characteristics, and also they try to branding the forest product, the local by local. For example, Yoshino in Tokugawa shogunate controlled area, the private sector is was very strong, and private forestry started in Yoshino. And in Kyushu Island, Obi is also very famous, but this forestry was led by the local government. And in Yoshino, okay, this kind of the barrel, this is a container for sake or shoyu or other liquid material in ancient times. So lot of the barrel is required. So Yoshino specialized to produce the material for these barrels. And Obi in Kyushu Island, the people specialized to the production of the timbers for ship making. So a lot of high resin content is very important for ship making. Okay, like this, our forestry started in 18th century, and from the early phase of the history, the branding of forest products already occurred in Japan. Okay, so you can see some of the one of the oldest plantation in Japan. So this is a video record when we visited the place. So you can see the 400 years sugi in this video. So later, please check the YouTube. Okay, later I will share the URL. Okay, so in our history, we opened the country in 1868. After 1868, we call the Meiji period started, and industrialization started using the Western technology. And this is a locomotive we first set in Tokyo area. And this is a silk mill, Western style silk mill, and also steel work established in 1915. So after Meiji renovation, we try to introduce Western technology, but the coal is not enough at that time. So we use charcoal or fuel wood to move this locomotive, and they use charcoal in steel work. So we depend on the forest resources. So during this Meiji period, the forest again degraded, and the population also increased so rapidly. And we have World War II and the Pacific War. At first, Japan entered to the Second Sino-Japanese War from the 1937. Nearly 10 years, we continue the war. And after the 1941, the Pacific War started. And as you know, the Japan surrendered and failed the war, and our big cities changed like this by the bombing. And also this is an atomic bomb finally, and we finished the war. And at that time, we have very few oils. So the charcoal powered bus was utilized in the city at that time. So again, return to the forest resources. So this is a situation of Japan. And after finish the World War, we must reconstruct the urban area, cities, and also the many buildings we must repair, reconstruct. But on the other hand, we need a lot of timbers. So we try to increase the conifer plantation. This is a government policy to expand the plantations again after the World War II. So especially from the 1950s, we start the intensive plantation establishment. And actually, there are many natural forests which produce charcoal up to that time, but we try to convert it to the conifer plantation. So this brown color indicates the area of the plantation, mostly the conifer plantation, and it increased during the 30 years after World War II, and the plantation area increased, doubled twice it increased 500 to 1,000, and the area unit is shown here. But anyway, this natural forest was changed to the plantation. And but this is a fuel wood forest and charcoal forest. Why we can convert it to plantation? Because after World War II, we can import the lot of oil, and the coal production also increased. So after World War II, the 5 years we still have a shortage of oil, but we fortunately can import the oil after the 1955, and then the charcoal demand nearly disappeared. So the forest which utilized for the production of the charcoal and fuel wood, we can convert it to the timber plantation, conifer plantation to produce the timbers. So after we change the energy source from the wood and coal to the oil and gas, we successfully reforest the forest, recover the forest. So this is very important for our history. Okay, but we still have many problems which related to the forest and forestry. This is a growing stock of the forest. So the cubic meter, the amount of the timber resources in our forest. So this green part is a stock in the plantation, man-made plantation. And this brown part, orange part, indicates the natural forest. And as you know, the plantation trees grow very rapidly and the stock increased very rapidly like this. So actually, we are very rich now in the timber resources. But these timber resources come too late because our biggest demand occurred in 1975. And actually, we start import of the timbers from outside of Japan. The tropical timber also we import a lot, and also from the North American countries and Russia. And then we try to use the timber resources to reconstruct our towns and also other purposes. And actually the amount increased, but the percentage of the imported timbers increased like this. So this green line indicates the self-sufficiency rate. So just 1955, nearly the 100% timber we produce in our country, but in the lowest value occurred in 2003, 2002. Nearly the 20%, it dropped down to the 20%. So more than 80% of the timber come from outside Japan. And after that, our national policy, the self-sufficiency rate increased to 40% now. So this is the current situation of Japanese timber source. Why? So like this, and the domestic timber supply decreased like this. Even the forester want to sell timbers, they cannot sell because of a lot of the cheap timbers from outside. And formerly, the timber price is very high in Japan. Japanese hinoki cypress, the price peaked around the 1980. And Japanese cedar, sugi, also peaked around here. But after that, the price decreased like this. And actually, the current 2015, the price of the hinoki cypress dropped to the 160 US dollar per cubic meter. At that time, the Indonesian timbers price shown here. So not so different, and sometimes cheaper than the Japanese timbers. So this is an Indonesian timber, but the North American timber or Russian timber also cheaper than the Japanese timber. So the many of the sawmill want to get the cheaper material, and they shift to the imported trees, and quite difficult to sell the Japanese trees. But the national policy try to increase the self-sufficiency rate, and probably we successfully increasing the domestic timber use in Japan. Okay, so another problem is the owner of the forest also changed. Because of the price down of the timbers, many of the forest owners escape from the business and stop business. And this is a number of forest management unit. Last 15 years, the number of forest management unit decreased very drastically. And this is one of the problem in Japan, which indicated the abandoned management by owners occurred, and the forest, no one take care of forest. But another meaning, this indicated the integration of forest area per unit. So the smaller scale, small holders contract to the big forest management unit to manage the forest. So they stop management, but they contract to the other bigger forest management unit. So integration of the forest changes, increase the efficiency of the management. And this is a good point of current situation, Japanese forest management. But also many owners drop out, and sometimes owner disappear. Who is the owner? Where is the owner? We cannot trace, and no owner forest is also increasing. And Japan is now start the forest environment tax. Actually, the local government already started from the year 2000. And but from 2024, the forest environment tax will be charged to the every adult in Japan, 1,000 yen per adult per year. So this started from 2024, and this income to the central government will be distributed to the local government and distributed to the forest management. Okay. And the Japanese government also established one law to promote to the wood use in public building. So it started from 2010, and many of the schools and public hall, and this is an Olympic stadium, Tokyo Olympic Game Stadium, and those buildings try to utilize timbers, much more timbers. So this is a local government must follow this central government policy, and also they try to utilize the timber from their own prefecture or local wood. Okay, so it makes the economical condition of forest owners, and they keep the high and try to keep the incentive of the forest management. And also the wooden building is now increasing in Japan. This is an 11 stories building just opened this year. And the company utilized new technology to establish this wooden building. You can see the very big structure made of the wood. So using this new technology, the wood building is now increasing. And some of the company launched the project to establish the 300-meter building, wooden building, until the, I forget, until the 2045. But anyway, the many private sector focuses on the wooden building and try to get advantage to start this wooden building construction. Okay, and if we see the forest protection, now condition of Japanese forest is very good, and our protection system also established the beginning of the 20th century, it functioned well. So the many of the national park try to keep the very good landscape and also forest. And this is a national park information. But the wildlife protection also, we successfully protect the wildlife. So this is a number of Shika deer in Japan, in Honshu Island, sorry, in Honshu Island. And the number increased so rapidly. This is a 1990, just 30 years ago, number of Shika deer is just 0.5 million head. But now it increased to the probably more than 3 million. So during 30 years, the population increased nearly the 10 times. So it is very serious for Japanese land and vegetation. The Shika deer eat everything if it is planted. So this is the forestry sector also damaged so much, and agricultural sector also damaged by Shika deer. So now the Japan government tried to reduce and control the population size of Shika deer and also wild boar and wild pig. So this is a serious problem now in Japan. Okay, so lessons from Japan. What is a lesson? So Japanese always tackled with issues related to forest. First, shortage, overuse, but now the underuse of the forest, it became a very serious problem because the owner of the forest is a private sector and they need some benefit from forest management. So this is economical issues also. And the probably final goal is empowering the multiple functions of forest. Today, I mainly focuses on timber and wood production of forest, but it's also forest also function at many different aspects. So the long-term final goal should be to extract the benefit for the multi-functions, benefit from these multiple functions and benefit the peoples. It should be the final goal of our forest management. And the Japanese government set 8 multiple functions. Of course, wood and non-wood production is one of the important functions, but water resources and the mitigation of disasters. Our land is very mountainous, so the landslide and flooding is very serious problem. So this is important function of the forest, and the biodiversity and global environmental conservation or local environment and health and recreation and culture and function. So to manage the forest to get the maximum function of these forest functions, it directly related to or result to the achievement of SDGs. Many of SDGs, these goals are related to the forest resources and management. So we have a much more opportunity we have. Okay, so this is a final message to you. And if you have time, this is a take-home work. What is your recommendation to the Japanese forestry now? Please let me know your idea. And also, did you get any ideas from Japanese experience or Japanese failure for the future of Indonesia or other tropical forests? Okay, this is the end of my talk. And I put some additional slides in the file, so you can study more about our current situation of Japanese forests and forestry. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Kanjaki Sensei. Your presentation is very, very rich with data and information about Japanese forest history and management. You successfully bring us back to Edo period and Meiji period with some graph and figure, and it's very interesting to know that Japan is managed their forest since like 200 or maybe 300 years ago, and this is a good learn for us from Indonesia, and hopefully that there is some also discussion. And Sensei, please go back to your slide about the last 2 questions you proposed to us. Yeah, this is the most important thing. Yeah, what learn can we get from the Japanese experience for future Indonesia forest, especially? Yeah. Okay, Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, the participant of the course, we have. Okay, now we are almost 11 o'clock in the Indonesian Central Time. Maybe we can discuss like 15 minutes or 20 minutes. If you have any question, if you have a comment or anything you'd like to discuss during this lecture, please feel free, raise your hand, or there is some already chat question or comment in the chat. I ask audience if there is a direct discussion with Kanzaki Sensei. I give you the time if there is someone to directly discuss. Okay. Kanjaki Sensei,
yes,
there is one comment in the chat room from Pak Chandra Dewana. He is one of our lecturer in Forest Faculty. He asking a question, what are the threats for your forest, I mean the Japanese forest, except fire? And then is there any palm oil issue also in Japan as a threat for nature forests?
I see. Yeah, thank you for your question. And the many of the disasters occurred in Japan, same as Indonesia. The forest fire also important threat to the forest, but it's locally limited. And but the more important factors which destroys the forest is a typhoon. Very big scale typhoons always sweep the forest, and especially the plantation is very weak to the such a typhoon windfall. So the in Kyoto also, after the 4 years ago, the many of the plantation was damaged by typhoon, and yeah, to clean or salvage the trees from the forest, it cost also much, and many owners cannot correspond to this kind of disasters now. So this became a very serious problem. And also another cause is, okay, we have a landslide and other flooding, and those disasters also, even we have a forest on the, we have there are the forests, but also landslides sweep everything, flow down the timbers to the river, and we lost the forest damaged so much also. But maybe the typhoon is the biggest threat for our forest. Yeah, and also we have no oil palm, fortunately or unfortunately. And actually, now the problem of such forest destruction by the crop plant is not occurring in Japan. So the now cropland area also decreasing because of the farmers' number also decreasing. Yeah. So but the problem is sugi now. Sugi itself, because sugi is an artificial plantation, and we increase the plantation area probably twice, doubled from the last. The area doubled last 50 years. So it means the problem of the pollen. Do you know pollen allergy? Pollen is a flower. From flower, pollen come from the male flower to reach it to the female flower. Pollen, pollen. And this pollen is very cause allergy for the many of Japanese people. Probably nearly 50% of the people suffered this allergy. So in March, April, February, March, April, many of the people put masks. Before COVID-19, we put the masks because to protect our nose from the pollen. So this became the very serious problem from the 30, 40 years ago. So our failure of our forest management policy, one of the failure is the increase of the man-made forest, too much. Because many of the plantation now have no commercial value because the location is too deep, too far from the forestry road, and cannot cut and extract timbers. So formerly the forestry agency promote the people to plant sugi and hinoki. So they financially support the private sector. If you plant sugi and hinoki, if you don't plant any conifers, there are no financial support. So the many farmers and smallholders, small foresters try to plant sugi trees, but it's too much. As you know, we have a lot of sugi plantation, but no use now. So if we keep these forests as a hardwood forest or natural forest, the biodiversity conservation will be more successful in Japan. So after 50 years, we realized that. And now some of the trial to return the plantation, conifer plantation to the natural forest. It's also difficult. So,
okay, Sensei. We still have one more question from the chat room from Miss Dia Rahmasari. She said, your presentation very interesting, and she thinks that almost the same as the condition in Indonesia. regarding the energy sources used by the community. At first, Japanese community used a lot of firewood and charcoal, then switches to fossil fuel, such as gasoline, oil, and gas. Now the world is developing biofuel as an alternative to overcome the scarcity of the fossil fuel. So she raising a question: how is the development of the biofuel industry in Japan? What is the role of Japanese forestry in supporting the biofuel industry? And is the use of biofuels commonly used in Japanese people currently? Yeah, 3 questions in one chat.
So this is a supplementary slide I prepared. So of course the biomass energy became a very important issue in Japan also. And this is one case in some of the forestry timber production area. They have a lot of timbers, and after sawing the timbers, they have some residue. So they can here directly burn the timbers, but actually we burn only the residue and barks, and we burn them and produce electricity. And this is a famous plant in Maniwa city, and this plant supports the local peoples in this city. Nearly all of the electricity from this biomass plant. So this kind of the biomass plant is increasing in Japan. And also many of the factory produce electricity by using their their residues, product residues. And especially the pulp and paper company and timber mills, they produce electricity by using the biomass energy. And also in dairy farm, they produce many of the dropping from the cattle also utilized for methane fermentation. And then the methane gas was utilized for making the electricity. So these are the local scale and important in Japan now. And this is a percentage of the, in case of the source of electricity, the percentage of the renewable energy is now nearly 20%. So mostly the main source is coal, oil, and gas still, fossil fuel. So 75% from these fossil fuels. But solar, wind, and geothermal, and biomass, and especially the hydropower plant is important in Japan. And as you know, the biomass percentage only is 3.2%. So still low. So we are trying to increase the percentage of biomass energy. And this is a production of the energy source from the timber, wood, from wood. And this imported wood is pale green, and domestic wood is a dark green, and imported wood, not cheap, imported wood is shallow red, and domestic wood is very dark green. So even though we mix the imported material, the fuel wood material for energy source is increasing like this. This is last 5 years or 7 years trend in Japan. So this is also the Japanese government policy, and also the private sector also trying to get some opportunity to, they are finding some of the business opportunity in the biomass energy. So it's increasing. Okay, so biofuel. Yes, and biofuel. It means probably ethanol or other material. Unfortunately, the biofuel not increase in Japan now because of the raw material. Because the timber is quite still it costs a lot of energy to get bioethanol. So mostly the sugarcane or corn is a feasible plant, but they are mostly we imported from outside. So those plant material we utilize for food first. First priority is our food. So biofuel is still very rare in Japan. Okay.
Okay, Kanjaki Sensei, thank you for the
はい。
second question, but we still have one more last question.
なんだっけ
Okay, yeah, from Pak Budi.
yeah.
He posed two questions. First, how did Japan deal with forest management companies who left the business in order to make sure forestry business is once more interesting for the investor or previous forestry industry players? And second question, how come the price of native Japanese timbers be so high compared to maybe from tropical wood or timber? Any chances to grow more of those species?
Yeah.
Arigatou gozaimasu. You mentioned that there are maybe people who abandon the forest, right? And how is actually government deal with the situation? Maybe that's the first question.
Okay, so many of the private forests was owned by the very, very small holders. So actually, they are not depend on the forest business formally. And so the two running the forestry business, I think more than the 30 hectare or 100 hectare forest area is required. The other small scale holders are just like a bank account. They keep the timbers in their mountain. And when they need some cash income, they sell timbers infrequently in their life. So this is most of the forest small scale holders strategy. So even the forest owner drop out from the forest business, it is not so the owner suffered not so much difficulties. So the middle scale forester and the large scale forester, they mostly depend on the forest business, timber business. So they are very important now. And middle scale holders now try to include much more forest area where the accessibility is very high. So they make some contract with small scale holders and try to increase the business scale and try to increase the efficiency of the business. So the Japanese government also, forestry agency also support this attempt to integrate the forest, especially plantation forests. So this is the strategy. And the forest industry, forest timber industry, or sawnwood mill or other factories, it means the user of the timbers also now changes their strategy, and local government also recommend to all of the factory to utilize the local wood, especially the timber from same prefecture, province. And they try to support the marketplace and try to keep their smooth trading of the timbers. And then the local factories owner also can accept the local wood. So like this, the domestic wood utilization is increasing now in Japan. So formerly, the timber from outside is very easy because they come by ship, and the amount of timber from the, for example, American wood, the forestry scale is quite big. So if easy to get the very similar quality timbers in a much more amount we can buy from outside. But if I order in a domestic forest owners, the scale of the forestry is very small, so quite difficult to get the standard quality timbers of and lot means the amount of the timber available also limited if I order some quality. So those conditions is now improving gradually, and it changed to contribute to reduce the importing of the timbers from outside. And why the Japanese timber price was so high in formerly, around the 70, 80, 90, the price is so high because our timbers are specialized to the housing construction. Okay, so Japanese house mostly use timbers, and those timbers appear in interior as an interior. So if but currently our building was westernized, so mostly we put the crosses on the cross, you know, some of the papers or cross we put on the wall. So we cannot see wood surface. So no need to be the quality. If the timber can support housing, it's okay. No need to be beautiful or no need to be comfortable because all interior covered by the other material. Well, sometimes we use plastic material to cover the wall and plank wood. So formerly the Japanese timbers focuses on to produce the high quality, very beautiful and very straight timbers without any knot on the surface of timbers. So they cost a lot of labor work to manage the forest. So automatically the price also increased. And formerly the many of the factory, many of the customer try to find out a good quality timbers. But after our housing style was changed, okay, no more beautiful wood is required. So just price became a problem. So lower price is better. So the lower price mostly come from the outside of Japan. So the Japanese wood have lost the competitiveness. So we fail the competition, but they must sell the timbers, so they must reduce the price. And so the actual net income is decreasing in Japanese forest owners. So that is the situation of Japan.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Kanjaki Sensei, for answering the question from the chat room. But I still encourage participants, if you want to raise your hand and then directly discuss with Kanjaki Sensei. I have still like 1 or 2 minutes. Please feel free to raise your hand and directly communicate or discuss with Kanjaki Sensei, if there's any. Ada Bapak Ibu? Okay, then maybe there is no other question, Sensei. Thank you very much on behalf of the Faculty of Forestry, the organizer of this summer course. We would like to appreciate your time allocation in this Saturday. It should be weekend for you, right? But you still allocate your time to give lecture for us in Indonesia. Some of the participants actually not only from Indonesia, also
yes,
from
yes.
another country. So
Yeah.
hopefully what you are explaining, presenting, making some new information insight of Japanese forest and forest management. Thank you very much once again, Kanjaki Sensei, and
Okay,
hopefully we
thank
can
you very
meet,
much.
yeah, we
From
can meet
me
again
too.
in another,
Yeah.
in another occasion from our faculty. Before I closing this lecture, there is some virtual certificate that will be given by the organizer. Please, someone from the organizing committee can show the certificate. Yeah. Kanjaki Sensei, this is certificate. Virtual
thank
one.
you. Thank you.
Appreciation for your contribution for the summer course, for today's speaker, and we delighted that we can collaborate again in the next near future. Yeah.
Okay. And if you have a question, please send it to the organizer. Maybe organizer will transfer the message to me, and I can answer to you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for the attention. We meet you again in the next summer course.
Yes,
lecture.
yes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Mr. Ali.
Yeah, bye-bye. Okay.
Bye.